Prince's last Diddy recording played in trial.
The second Prince's voice echoed through the courtroom. Everything changed. Diddy's composed facade cracked just for a moment, but enough for everyone to see. A voice from beyond the grave. Prince's final recording sent chills through the courtroom. What was in that tape that rattled one of music's most powerful moguls? On day 3 of this already explosive trial, the courtroom heard evidence no one anticipated, and it's shaking Hollywood to its core.
Cassie said he would get physical. That one male guy who did things with Diddy and Cassie said he witnessed him get physical. Don, so again, we talked about how the domestic charges aren't, what he's being, what he's on trial for. But boy, it's stacking up. And I feel that the jury is going to take that into consideration.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the...
Day 3 began like the others. Press fighting for front row access, celebrities slipping in through private entrances, and legal teams flipping through papers like clockwork. But something in the air felt off. Charged. This courtroom wasn't just packed. It was tense. Security stood at every corner, which is typical. But today there were twice as many guards. 4 officers stood directly behind Diddy's table, a move that hadn't happened before. A court insider told me they got specific instructions that morning, but nobody would say what for. Diddy walked in cool as ever, dressed in a flawless navy suit. He nodded at his crew in the gallery and flashed that signature smile. His lawyers circled him like bodyguards, leaning in close to strategize. He looked like a man in control. What he didn't clock was the quiet activity at the prosecution's table. 2 tech experts were setting up audio equipment, gear that wasn't there before. They checked wires and murmured to the lead prosecutor, who kept glancing Diddy's way, with a look that said, "Just wait." Whispers spread like wildfire. A reporter told me everyone was texting each other, asking what kind of bombshell was about to drop. Then the judge walked in. After the usual greetings, he made an unexpected statement. "I want to remind all present, no matter what evidence is shown today, maintain your composure." He locked eyes with the gallery, adding, "Any disruptions will lead to immediate removal." The prosecution kicked off steady, reviewing prior testimony, drawing links, business as usual, until suddenly the lead prosecutor paused. "Your Honor, at this time, the prosecution would like to present newly authenticated audio evidence." She walked to the bench with a small black device. Diddy's legal team instantly objected, arguing they weren't given notice. The judge called a sidebar. Voices rose. Diddy's attorneys gestured wildly, but the judge ruled. The evidence was disclosed in discovery. The prosecution may proceed. And then everything shifted. The prosecutor turned to the courtroom and said the words no one was ready for. What you're about to hear is the final private recording made by Prince Rogers Nelson. You could hear the room inhale Prince, the legend, the icon, speaking from beyond. Diddy's lead attorney reached for his arm. His face went pale. You could literally see the panic set in. His team huddled tight, whispering fast as the prosecution connected the device to the courtroom speakers. And in that breathless moment, before a single sound played, the power shifted. Diddy's legal team sensed it, and judging by the panic in Diddy's eyes, so did he.
Trying to listen. I mean, there's a lot of this stuff that I've heard and seen already. I'm really trying to connect the dots here and think like, damn, what if Prince was letting what if he caught wind of some, I'll just say allegedly, stuff that Diddy might have been doing that seems to be, like, I ain't talking about consensual things, I'm talking about illegal things or whatever. But I'm just like, would Diddy be that dumb to not think that Prince, this celebrity, has cameras in his house as well? So I'm just trying to think, because if Prince has cameras and he's recording stuff, you know, to get some dirt on Diddy. I don't know. I feel like Diddy, with all his cameras that he allegedly had, or no, they actually found cameras.
Problems?
That I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't abuse alcohol. I didn't know of him abusing drugs. He worked out, you know, so, you know, that also really concerned me, because it made me think that, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young?
What you're about to hear, the prosecutor announced, was pulled from Prince's private vault. The courtroom instantly erupted. Whispers, gasps, and journalists hammering away at their phones. This wasn't some recycled testimony. This was Prince himself speaking from beyond the grave. The prosecutor explained that this recording was made just weeks before Prince's death in 2016. This was never intended for public release, she said. Prince recorded it as a form of protection, documenting exactly what he saw. As his voice began to play, a woman in the third row covered her mouth, tears forming. It wasn't just the surprise of hearing him, it was how he sounded. Prince didn't have his usual commanding stage presence. His tone was soft, almost hushed. He sounded nervous. "I'm making this because I don't know who I can trust anymore," Prince began. The audio quality, crystal clear. You could hear the pauses, the deep breaths. This was Prince in one of his most vulnerable moments ever caught on tape. Then everything changed. Prince started dropping names, locations, dates, and right in the center was Diddy. He spoke about parties at Diddy's homes in Miami and the Hamptons, the same events 3 previous witnesses had already testified about. Diddy's face was unreadable at first, but as the audio kept playing, his whole demeanor broke. His eyes widened, his jaw locked, and even as his lawyer whispered frantically, Diddy just stared ahead, paralyzed. And then came the real bombshell. What happens at these parties isn't just wrong. It's criminal, Prince said. I've seen how they move, who's involved, and who ends up hurt. Every word from Prince hit like a hammer. This wasn't hearsay. This wasn't speculation. This was Prince confirming everything. And nobody could question him now. He couldn't be threatened. He couldn't be discredited. He was untouchable. Then, Prince detailed a specific party in December 2015, naming celebrities who had previously denied being there. He described upstairs rooms, the exact setup the prosecution had already outlined in court. The courtroom went dead silent. Even the judge leaned in to hear better. Reporters later said the energy in that room felt like it shifted the air. Then, Prince said it. I tried to talk to him. I told him this couldn't keep going. He laughed and said, "If you want to stay in the game, mind your business." Right there, the prosecutor hit pause. The timing? Cinematic. Every head turned toward Diddy. The mask was gone, his face pale, his hands trembling. His lead attorney quickly slid a notepad in front of him to shield the jury's view, but it was too late. The damage had been done. The moment Prince said his name, Diddy's entire armor shattered.
It became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship.
Cassie Ventura on the witness stand for a 4th day in the federal criminal trial against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The defense continuing cross-examination this morning, confronting her with dozens of her own messages, many explicit, hoping to convince the jury she was an eager sexual partner who matched Combs' desires. "I'm always ready to freak off," one message said.
She was into the freak-offs herself and was like a willing participant participant and was into all the freaky stuff, and essentially that was the crux of what they were trying to do yesterday.
And do you think they proved that or not?
I mean, there's texts like that from 2009. I'm always ready to freak off. There was some other texts where she was referencing like hitting him up about the FOs, is what they were referring to him. To me, like, yes, this doesn't look good, but at the same time, I think the timeline is crucial here. And these are texts from 2009, man. That was when they were first getting in the relationship. She was young. Obviously, they were in the honeymoon stage, and she was stoked to like, oh my God, I'm with Diddy. I'm living this lavish lifestyle. Of course, she's going to be saying things that she knows will curry favor with him to keep it going.
What left everyone completely floored wasn't just what Prince said. It was watching Diddy mentally unravel right there in front of us. For 2 full days, he had kept a flawless poker face. Even when the allegations were aimed squarely at him, he didn't blink. Even when shocking photos flashed on screen, he calmly leaned over and whispered to his legal team. Not a single crack in his perfectly managed image. But the moment Prince's voice filled the courtroom again, everything changed. The shift was immediate. Diddy's top-tier lawyer, the same one who's defended countless A-listers, gently placed a hand on Diddy's arm, a move designed to keep him steady. But Diddy flinched so violently that a glass of water toppled over and splashed across the defense table. Some jurors clearly noticed. You could see them glance at each other in surprise. This was the man known for building an entire empire on his calm, in-control image. And now, he was coming apart in real time. A courtroom sketch artist later told reporters she had never witnessed such a dramatic physical change in someone's presence during live testimony. Diddy's breathing turned erratic, heavy, uneven. Even people seated at the very back could see his chest rising sharply. His eyes darted around the room like he was calculating escape routes. The judge, a seasoned veteran of high-stakes trials, didn't take his gaze off Diddy for a second. He knew exactly what was coming. Diddy shifted repeatedly, tugging at his collar, fingers trembling as he loosened his tie. He leaned in close to his attorneys and whispered something with such urgency that 3 of them immediately leaned in, huddling around him. Prince's voice continued, calm and unwavering. He named a private Beverly Hills event, March 9th, 2016, and an address prosecutors had already verified earlier in the case. The second Prince said that address aloud, Diddy jumped up. Not slowly, not casually. He snapped to his feet like someone had yanked him upward. 4 security guards instantly moved in. Diddy's lawyers grabbed at his jacket, trying to force him back into his seat. A panic plastered across their faces. One lawyer whispered frantically, while another physically stepped between Diddy and the jury box. But the audio kept playing. Prince described walking into a room. What he saw matched the prosecution's charges, word for word. Diddy's legal team was now nearly crawling over each other, desperate to get him under control. And then it happened. Diddy exploded. "That's a lie," he shouted. His voice rang through the courtroom, sharp and furious. He wasn't there. That never happened. A reporter sitting in the front row literally jumped. That's how jarring it was. The judge immediately slammed his gavel. "Order, order in the court," he barked. He glared directly at Diddy. "Mr. Combs, control yourself, or I will hold you in contempt." The room froze. You could hear Prince's voice still playing softly in the background, and in that moment it became crystal clear what the prosecution had done. They waited for this exact moment. Waited until Diddy got comfortable, until he believed he had survived the worst. Then they dropped the one recording that shattered his calm, and it worked to perfection.
The other things that the Diddy's team tried to do was show how they had breaks, and she was with Michael B. Jordan and was with Kid Cudi for a minute. But during that time period, she was still having freak-offs with Diddy, and I think that was them trying to show, this wasn't a controlling thing. Here she was, hooking up with other people. She just was into the freak-offs.
I kind of buy that, to be honest.
So...
she is out of the freak-offs then. She is... when she's with Kid Cudi, or allegedly with Michael B. Jordan, she's kind of out of the freak-offs if she wants to be. So why do you keep going back? Yeah. I know it's kind of like a mental, she still loves Diddy. Diddy was jealous about her.
Oh, yeah, because that was another thing that the prosecutors were trying to do, is show that, that they had a very jealous relationship. She would get jealous when he's with Kid Cudi. Also, Kim Porter, Cassie would be jealous of Kim Porter.
Right.
Trying to show that, Cassie, you were in love with this guy. That's why you were jealous.
Right.
So like this was a real
It was
relationship.
just interesting to see Chris Brown.
I mean, he's always coming up somewhere, dude.
He is.
Chris Brown.
All right. Final story of the week. Justin Bieber is not a victim of Diddy. So this was one of those like rumors or whatever that was flying around in the months leading up to the trial. And to be honest, there was quite a few rumors flying around. Like, you know, was there minors involved? Says if no other celebrity was part of Freak-Offs, why are they in hiding? Are they in hiding though?
I don't think they're in hiding. I just think other celebrities didn't want to insert themselves. No one wants to be tied to Diddy one way or the other.
Even if you're at a white party, like just having a lot of fun at, you know, one of Diddy's white parties, you don't want to be linked in any way.
No, and that's why like all those people, there's a few people I think that have come forward and been like, I didn't see any of this freak off stuff.
Once order was restored in the courtroom, the prosecution hit play again, and what came next stunned everyone. Prince wasn't just tossing vague claims into the wind, he laid out 3 crystal clear allegations that cut directly into the heart of the prosecution's case. His voice was steady as ever. I keep everything, Prince said. Dates, times, names. What happened? I've been doing this since 2007. You could see the legal experts in the room, exchanging looks like they realized something serious was unfolding. This wasn't a casual whistleblower. This was someone who had been documenting for years. The first major revelation, Prince described the exclusive parties held at Diddy's properties. These weren't just parties, his voice explained. They were orchestrated setups. I watched him isolate young artists, pulled them away from their people, and put them in situations they didn't know how to escape from. Prince gave the address of a Beverly Hills mansion and described a room, the same room layout already shown in court floor plans. The courtroom was dead silent. He went on to talk about how young artists were being manipulated, lured into a dream, and locked into a nightmare. They come in thinking this is their shot, Prince said. By the time they realize what's really happening, it's too late. I've seen it happen to at least 7 artists. Then came allegation 2, a direct confrontation. I approached Diddy at the Grammy after party 2016, Prince stated. I told him I knew what was happening, told him it needed to stop. He looked me in the face and laughed. Then he said, "You might be Prince, but you're not untouchable." I took that as a threat. Diddy's lawyers looked blindsided, scribbling notes, whispering frantically. But Prince wasn't done. He went deeper. The third allegation hit even harder: financial cover-ups. Prince listed payouts: $2 million to one individual, $1.3 million to another. Numbers that matched exactly with the financial evidence already submitted. I've seen the transfers, Prince said. I've seen the NDAs. This isn't just rich men misbehaving. This is intentional. This is structured. It became obvious that Prince wasn't just guessing. He had insider-level access to information only a few people would ever know. Then his voice grew quiet. I made this recording because I'm scared, he said. Scared to speak up. Because this industry protects guys like him. Nobody wants to hear what really happens behind closed doors. And then came the words that silenced the entire room. If anything happens to me, make sure this gets to the right people. This isn't just about me. It's about protecting everyone else who couldn't speak. And then, silence. The tape stopped. The courtroom didn't move. Not a sound, not a whisper. The prosecution had just pulled off something rare, turning Prince into their most powerful witness from beyond the grave. The lead prosecutor stood, looked at the judge, and said only one line: "No further questions, Your Honor." She didn't need to say another word. Prince had said it all.
They have their notebooks in their hand. They're coming in, they're very alert, and I think this is one of those testimonies where you have no choice but to pay attention and almost be flabbergasted, obviously, at some of what you're hearing, because it's not only just insight into somebody's sex life, but the details are disturbing at times, especially during that prosecution testimony when we saw some of the alleged abuse, or we saw pictures of her after a beating of some kind, according to her. But the jurors are definitely paying attention. I don't see anyone that's not keeping their focus on Cassie Ventura, and also I noticed them taking notes a lot of times.
And the children, as they were exiting court yesterday, 2 of the girls were seen crying. How emotional have they been in court?
Again, I cannot imagine if that was my father or somebody close to me up there and having to hear details of their sex life. Those are young women. They lost their mother, one of them, the twins. So no one can probably quite understand what it is that they're going through, but I think that's something that you think about on both sides, to look at Alex Fine, which is Cassie Ventura's husband, and think about him having to listen to all that's being said about the type of woman that Cassie Ventura was versus the person that's expecting, their third child together now. So whether it's Combs's family or Ventura's family that's there to support her, her brother and her husband, Alex Fine, I think it's difficult on both sides. Seen him taking notes from the beginning. I see him put his glasses on. He gets very close to the screen when they're reading some of those text messages. So he's paying attention.
Now, Ventura confirmed that she and Combs had conversations about a swingers lifestyle, but that the freak-offs, they were very different.
Yeah, so she talked about this idea where I guess Combs wanted her to watch him have sex with another woman. She said that happened 2 or 3 times, but that he mentioned it frequently.
Kim Porter came up today in testimony. What was the significance there?
The defense said early on that this case would be about infidelity, love, and jealousy. And this is where they brought that up today when they brought up Kim Porter's name. The defense asked Cassie Ventura, are you jealous or were you jealous of Kim Porter? And Ventura sort of contemplated, but did get to this moment where she said, knowing that Combs spent holidays with his family, which meant with Porter, did bother her. And she admitted that. They also pointed out that there was testimony where she talked about being insanely jealous overall as a girlfriend. So, yeah.
We're hearing the judge wants Cassie off the stand tomorrow. Will the prosecution and the defense get equal time?
Yeah, as long as there aren't any additional motions, I think that is the goal, to have her off the stand by tomorrow.
Why do you think that? What's the reasoning behind wanting her off the stand tomorrow?
In the very beginning, Rachel, they told us that she would likely be on that stand 2 to 3 days. So here we are.
In just 7 seconds, Diddy's outburst flipped the entire trial on its head. As soon as Prince's recording stopped, his defense team sprang into full crisis mode. The lead attorney stood up quickly, voice trembling slightly as he pleaded with the judge. Your Honor, we request a 15-minute recess to consult with our client. The desperation was clear to everyone in the courtroom, but the judge wasted no time. Request denied. The court will proceed with the evidence, he declared, shooting a sharp glare straight at Diddy. I expect no more disruptions. Diddy's lawyers looked stunned, not used to hearing the word no. These were high-profile attorneys billing $1,500 an hour, accustomed to getting their way in court. But today, nothing was falling in their favor. Meanwhile, the prosecution team kept their composure, though the lead prosecutor's second-in-command couldn't hide a slight smile when Diddy exploded. They exchanged a knowing look. Their trap had worked exactly as planned, and now it was officially on record. A legal analyst 2 rows behind whispered to his colleague, "This is devastating for the defense." They spent 2 days painting him as calm and composed. That image just shattered in front of the jury. Addressing the jury, the judge warned, "The outburst you witnessed should not influence your deliberations. Emotional reactions are not evidence." But every seasoned trial lawyer knows once jurors see something like this, it sticks. 3 jurors were fixated on Diddy, scrutinizing his every move after the explosion. Security wasn't taking any chances. 2 extra officers stationed just feet away from the defense table, with one standing directly behind Diddy's chair, ready to intervene if needed. The rest of the day was harsh on Diddy. The prosecution pushed forward, presenting financial records exactly matching the payments Prince had mentioned, along with witness text messages describing the same events. Diddy sat sweating under his designer suit. His hands shook visibly, so much so his lawyer handed him a legal pad, maybe to steady his nerves. He even refused water when offered. By mid-afternoon, he looked physically drained, his confident expression replaced by one of defeat. The final blow came just before the court adjourned. Diddy's team rushed to file an emergency motion to exclude Prince's recording, claiming it was manipulated and couldn't be authenticated since the witness was deceased. Legal experts immediately recognized this move for what it was, a last-ditch effort to undo the damage, showing just how panicked the defense had become. Emergency motions like this are usually filed only when there are no other options left. As the courtroom emptied, analysts were already making bold predictions. One prominent TV legal expert told his producer, "This will be remembered as the moment the case turned. In a single day, Diddy went from a man fighting false claims to someone who completely lost it when faced with the truth." A veteran court reporter summed it up perfectly. "I've covered hundreds of celebrity trials, but I've never seen a case unravel so completely in just one moment." Playing that Prince recording on day 3 wasn't some lucky coincidence. It was a meticulously planned move, crafted by the prosecution months in advance. Court insiders revealed they had this game changer locked and loaded from the start, but deliberately held it back until Diddy felt comfortable in the courtroom. They wanted him relaxed, and then hit him with it hard. A source close to the prosecution told me the first 2 days were all about lulling Diddy into a false sense of security. That's why the prosecution's case seemed almost routine in the beginning. They weren't showing their full strength yet. They spent nearly 4 months verifying Prince's recording, bringing in 3 top audio forensic experts to confirm it hadn't been tampered with. They knew the defense would attack its authenticity right away, so they built a rock-solid verification process to withstand any challenge. What's especially smart is how they studied Diddy's courtroom behavior. The prosecution analyzed footage from his past trials and spotted a pattern. Diddy stays perfectly composed for the first 48 hours, but after that his guard drops noticeably. So they timed that bombshell to hit right when he'd be most vulnerable, a psychological knockout. The prosecution's case was constructed like a building. First, the foundation, witnesses verifying dates, locations, basic facts. Then, they layered on the structure, financial records, text messages. Everything was carefully planned so that when Prince's voice played, every detail he mentioned linked perfectly to evidence the jury had already accepted. They didn't wing it either. A courthouse staff member told me the prosecution rehearsed playing the recording multiple times, practicing exactly when to pause, when to glance at Diddy, and how to keep their poker faces when his reaction hit. What makes this move so brutal is how they position Prince as the ultimate witness. He can't be intimidated, cross-examined, or discredited. Speaking from beyond the grave, Prince's testimony carries a weight no living witness could match. The prosecution's timing was genius. Day 3, right when media buzz around high-profile cases usually dips. Cable news often covers opening statements intensely, then fades into closing arguments. By dropping their biggest bomb on day 3, they guaranteed a fresh media frenzy just as public interest might have started waning. This wasn't only about convincing the jury, a veteran legal analyst told me. It was about controlling the public story, making sure this case stays front and center in headlines. As court adjourned, the contrast between the two teams was crystal clear. The prosecution gathered the evidence calmly, sharing satisfied looks. Meanwhile, Diddy's team was visibly shaken, some making urgent calls, others frantically flipping through legal text. The power had shifted in minutes. One moment, Diddy was a powerful music mogul fighting accusations. The next, a desperate man watching his carefully crafted image crumble under the weight of testimony from a music legend speaking freely from beyond the grave. As day 3 ended, something irreversible happened in that courtroom. Prince's voice, clear, specific, and impossible to ignore, had done what years of allegations couldn't: crack Diddy's facade in front of everyone. The trial picks up tomorrow, but everyone knows it won't be the same. The ghost of a music icon just dropped the most powerful testimony imaginable, catching Diddy completely off guard. What's keeping industry insiders awake tonight isn't just Diddy's fate, it's what else might be hidden in Prince's private vault. Who else did he name? What other recordings exist that we haven't heard yet?